Process costing, guys. So far, whatever we have done, guys, were the elements of cost and the techniques of costing. The elements of cost, guys, were material, labor, and other expenses. Indirect material, indirect labor, indirect expenses collectively became your in order to identify material cost with the end product, you should first learn how to value raw material, that is how to compute cost per unit, and then we will learn about material. We have learned about material issue methods, FIFO method or weighted average method, and using material requisition note, you will know which material was used for which product, and you will be able to identify cost. In order to identify employee cost, you should know how to arrive at your effective wage rate per hour, and then using better time sheet, you will know which employee worked on which product as such better, and you will be able to allocate wages to that specific job. Direct expenses are obviously directly related. Overheads ke liye, guys, we have learned that it can either be using departmental rate or blanket rate, preferably departmental rate, that too preferably on the basis of machine hours or labor hours, rather than doing it on the basis of number of units or on the basis of material or wages or prime cost. A better version, guys, we told you that it is comprehensive machine hour rate, where instead of absorbing overheads with respect to each department, we will be absorbing overheads with respect to each machine center, because different machines can have different capacities. The cost that you're incurring can differ, guys. So that is overheads better. Once that was done, we have learned about the techniques of costing, marginal costing and absorption costing. Marginal costing tells us only variable manufacturing expenses should be included in the valuation of inventory. Absorption costing tells us both variable and fixed manufacturing cost should be included in the valuation of inventories. Yes or no, guys? Calculation baad mein beta, abhi padha raha hu kuch. So you will have to include both variable and fixed manufacturing expenses in the valuation of inventory, guys, under absorption costing. But I also told you marginal costing is more about CVP analysis, that is for decision making. You will divide your expenses into variable and fixed as such, guys, and you know that relevant expenses will only be variable expenditure plus the amount of specific fixed cost and contribution foregone, if any, if there's limiting factor. And then standard costing, guys, is actually a cost control technique as well as a technique of costing, but usually cost control technique. The whole point of implementing standard costing is that you can compare the amount of actual cost, guys, with the amount of standard cost and investigate the variances so that you do not repeat those mistakes again as such better, and the cost is under control in the next period. Are we clear? The next couple of chapters that we will be doing, guys, will all be based on the methods of costing. The principles are not going to change. The principles of costing are going to remain the same, guys. Almost every chapter, unless otherwise given, we follow absorption costing, meaning we will include both fixed and variable manufacturing expenses in the valuation of inventories. Depending on the industry, guys, the method of costing will change. When I say depending on industry, as such better, if the manufacturing activity involves multiple processes, the output of one process becomes the input for the next process, we follow process costing, the topic that we're going to learn now. If the manufacturing does not involve multiple processes, guys, it's a single process that is resulting in the manufacturing of the end product, we may follow unit costing, we may follow batch costing, depending on whether manufacturing is being undertaken in bulk quantities. But just in medicines, you do not manufacture one tablet, guys, you manufacture, the machines usually have a capacity of 2 lakhs to 3 lakh units. Pehle abhi shayad modern 10 lakh tablets per hour also. जो तुम्हारे tablets बनते हैं manufacturing medicines के, there are about 10 lakh tablets that get manufactured in 1 hour machine. You just have to input the raw material, the machine will undertake the manufacturing process. So you talk about your FMCG products, guys, like biscuits or chocolates as such, guys, they're also undertaken in batches. So we follow something called as batch costing there. Then there is job costing, where work is undertaken as such, guys, on the basis of customization. Every customer wants a different. Shipbuilding as such, guys, is a classic example of job costing. It's not like you make one type of ship as such, guys, leke jao bol ke. It's all as per the requirement of customer. So depending on the type of work, the method of costing is going to change, the presentation of information is going to change, underlying principles will not change. Whether it is P&L account, whether it is income and expenditure account as such, guys, accounting principles remain same. The terminology changes. It is exactly what we are going to do better under these methods also. Whether you will include direct material or not, the answer is yes. Will you include direct wages? The answer is yes. Will you include direct expenses? Yes. Variable manufacturing overheads? Haan. Fixed manufacturing overheads? Haan. How are you going to present the information? How are you going to compute the cost per unit of the finished product, guys? The procedure is going to change. Principles are not going to change. Keep that in mind. These are methods of costing. These are not techniques of costing. They will not tell us what is to be included, what is to be excluded. Service sector will be different from manufacturing sector. The presentation of information will be different again. Are you all getting the point beta here? इसी के basis पे we just have these different methods of costing that we are going to cover over the next couple of chapters. Now, process costing कब follow होता है? Manufacturing has to comprise of multiple processes. The output of one process should become. अगर ये satisfy नहीं होता है, you cannot follow process costing. You are manufacturing multiple components in different units as such, guys. In the end, you bring them together and you are just assembling the product. That is not process costing. That's assembly. Just say your bicycle manufacturing as such, guys, is only assembling. A majority of the bicycle manufacturers in India just simply import the bicycle frames as such, guys, from Vietnam, and obviously बाकी पूरे components are locally procured. Assemble कर देते एक जगह, बन गई उनका थप्पा. It is manufactured by them. Are you getting it as such, guys? So I'm not talking about, guys, you manufacturing different components at different places. Cell phone manufacturing is not process costing as such, guys. You manufacture different components separately. In the end, you simply assemble them. Car manufacturing is not process costing as such, guys. It is again different components are manufactured differently. In the end, you only assemble. Different story, guys. For one part manufacturing, there might be multiple processes. So there's always hybrid costing that will come. You talk about very large organization, it is never a scenario that only one method of costing is applicable. When I say hybrid costing, matlab up to a certain stage I'm following one method, guys. Beyond that I may follow another method. Process costing apply करने के लिए the simple rule is that the output of one process has to become an input for the next process. If it is not happening, you cannot apply process costing, because the whole point here is to value inventories. If an organization, guys, follows process costing, or if the manufacturing involves multiple processes, तो 5 मिनट जल्दी आना था घदो, बेकार में इतना बड़ा भाषण देना पड़ रहा, भूख लग रही मेरे को. So if an organization follows process costing, guys, there will be inventories that are lying in every process at any given point of time. Let's say beta CA is a process. There's inventory lying in foundation level, there's inventory lying in CA intermediate level, there's inventory lying in CA final level. Yes or no, guys? Can there be losses at each stage? Normal, abnormal, guys, however you would want to term it as. Can there be inventory losses at every stage? Yes. Can the cost per unit of a foundation student differ from the cost per unit of a CA intermediate student? Can the cost per unit of an intermediate student as such differ from the cost per unit of a final student? Just understand that as an example, guys. Please understand why are we supposed to learn this as a separate topic. There's a reason why we have to learn these as separate topics. But if you understand that one point, it becomes easier. Pura topic becomes useless. The main intent of process costing is this only. Boss, there is going to be inventory at every stage. And that inventory will have a different value. There is going to be work in process at every stage. The cost of a completed unit will not be the same as a cost of a work in process unit. The degree of completion can differ. Supplementary rate. याद आ रहा है नहीं आ रहा है, guys? So the degree of completion can differ. What is completed unit for process 1 becomes work in process for the next process. If the cost per unit of process 1 is 100, that does not mean it should remain at 100. What if there's normal loss in the second process? Won't this 100 rupees also automatically get inflated in the next process? First process के लिए 100 rupees होगा बेटा. What if there's another normal loss of 20% in the next process? Won't that cost also be inflated, guys? Yes. All of these points should be taken into consideration, guys. So under process costing, we are never going to compute cost of the final product directly. हाँ बेटा. So guys, coming back to this, guys, you cannot simply add. It's like this, beta. You cannot simply add cost of all the students as such, guys, and divide by the total number of students. That will not give us cost per student. The cost that you're incurring at foundation, intermediate and final can differ. That is why the intent will be to compute cost of each process separately. We will compute cost per unit of process 1 separately, cost per unit of process 2. But when you're computing cost per unit of process 2, it is cumulative cost. जो भी process 1 का cost incurred है बेटा, that will automatically become input for the next process. The cost is getting transferred to the next process. And then beta, when you transfer that to the next process, you will compute again cost per unit of the third process cumulatively till you reach the final stage. समझ में आ रहा है नहीं आ रहा है? And during this, we have to keep in mind that there will be normal loss, abnormal loss, there will be work in process. ये समझ में आ गया कि there's going to be work in progress, there is going to be normal loss. At that level also there can be work in progress. Imagine that you've introduced 10,000 units in process 1. Out of those, only 8,000 units have been completed and transferred to the next process. The remaining 2,000 are not lost. They're still under process. Next month ke beginning mein, maybe they will get completed, guys, and they will get transferred to the next process. Are you getting it? We just have to keep these points in mind, guys, while valuing the inventories. समझ में आ गया? Write the heading beta in your notebook, process costing. Process costing is a method of costing used by industries process costing, guys, is a method of costing used by industries that undertake manufacturing in large volumes, large volumes through two or more processes, The input of one process becomes the output for the next process. The output of one process becomes the output for the next process. The output of one process becomes the input for the next process. The output of one process becomes the input for the next process. Becomes the input for the next process. Input for the next process. Next line. At any given point of time, there will be inventories lying at each stage. At any given point of time, there will be inventories lying. At any given point of time, there will be inventories lying. At any given point of time, there will be inventories lying at each stage. Inventories lying at each stage. At each stage. We cannot directly determine the cost per unit of the final product. We cannot directly determine the cost per unit of the final product. We cannot directly determine the cost per unit of the final product. Hence, costs are apportioned or charged. Costs are apportioned or charged to different processes. Costs are apportioned or charged to different processes. And cost per unit is computed for inventories of each process. Cost per unit is computed for inventories of each process. Cost per unit is computed for inventories of each process. Cost per unit is computed for inventories of each process. each process. समझ में आया बेटा ये? Next line बेटा, examples. Example, chemical industry, chemical industry, chemical industry, paper and pulp, paper and pulp, chemical industry, paper and pulp, cement manufacturing, cement manufacturing, cement manufacturing, cement manufacturing. All right guys, now as I told you better, you cannot directly compute cost per unit of the end product. You will have to compute cost per unit of each process separately. When we compute cost per unit of each process, there are certain things that we have to keep in mind as such guys, and that is the amount of normal loss, the amount of abnormal loss guys. When you say normal loss, you're talking about the inventory. As I told you guys, okay, the intent here is to compute cost per unit as such guys of each process separately. When you're computing that cost per unit guys, we will have to consider factors like normal loss, abnormal loss, work in progress. These are the factors as such guys that are going to affect the valuation. अगर ये adjust करना सीख लिए, then we are good to go. All right, I'm not going to directly start with cost per unit of multiple processes. We are going to cover few examples for cost per unit of a single process with multiple cases. We will first do cases where there's no normal loss, abnormal loss, then we'll bring in normal loss and abnormal loss, then we'll again bring in normal and abnormal loss with scrap value. Then guys, we will see what if there is work in progress. But first few examples will be without work in progress. All right, Dakota side heading, valuation of inventories, side heading, valuation of inventories, side heading beta, valuation of inventories. Valuation of inventories. Example 1. Units introduced 10,000. Units introduced 10,000. Units introduced 10,000. 10,000. No normal loss or abnormal loss. Units introduced 10,000. No normal loss or abnormal loss. No normal loss or abnormal loss. Expenses incurred. Expenses incurred. Direct material 5 lakhs. Direct wages 7,50,000. Manufacturing overheads, let's say beta 3 lakhs. Expenses incurred, direct material, and then beta direct wages and manufacturing overheads. Jain, Rohit ka. So not well. The total, no, I know that he'll inform, but just asking. He doesn't miss classes normally, that is why. What's the total manufacturing expenditure that we are incurring, guys? 15 lakhs, 50,000. This 5 lakhs, 7.5 lakhs, and 3 lakh rupees. Yes or no, guys? यहाँ पे बेटा I told you that there is no normal loss, no abnormal loss. We have introduced how many units? 10,000 units. As of now, there will not even be any work in progress, guys. That means if you've introduced 10,000 units, you will also have an output of 10,000 units. All right, guys. So the cost per unit, guys, at which the units will be transferred to the next process is pretty simple. How much expenditure did you incur in process 1? 15 lakhs, 50,000. Hi, Anna. ये 15,50,000 जो खर्च कर रहे हैं बेटा, that is to manufacture how many units? 10,000 units. Hereafter guys, in every question when you prepare an account as such guys, you will have to also introduce a units column to ensure that we also tally the units column rather than just tallying the amount column. So in my example guys, I have introduced a direct material of how many units beta? 10,000 units at a cost of what amount? 5 lakh, exact 5 lakhs sir. To direct wages as such guys is how much? 7,50,000, and then beta to manufacturing overheads as such guys is how much? 3 lakhs. This is the amount that we are incurring. This entire output as such beta will be transferred to the next process. By process 2 बोल के लिख रहा हूँ guys. Nothing is being lost in the form of these losses. You will write 10,000 units beta. Cost per unit is simple. How much expenditure did we incur guys? And what is the output? 10,000 units. My cost per unit will be 15,50,000 divided by 10,000 units. That will be 155 rupees. The entire 15,50,000 will get transferred to the next process. Are we clear? Next process के लिए ये input बन जाएगा. They will write 2 process 1 बोल के left hand side of the account साथ बेटा 10,000 units 15,50,000. They will also incur other expenses on that. It is not that there will not be any other expenditure incurred in the subsequent processes guys. Will they incur other expenses? If there is no expenditure to be incurred in the subsequent processes, then it is not process costing only. The fact that you're terming it as process costing, that means there will be some amount of expenditure guys that is yet to be incurred in the other processes. समझ में आ रहा है नहीं आ रहा है guys? ये समझ में आ गया सबको? Copy करो. Example 1 बेटा, direct material, direct wages, manufacturing overheads. बाद में लिखना. Same as example 1, except guys, let's say that there is a normal loss of 5% of input. If there's a normal loss of 5, a work in progress नहीं है बेटा अभी तक. मैं जब तक नहीं बोला work in progress नहीं आएगा. मतलब जितना भी input कर रहे हैं guys, या तो वो बर्बाद हो गया या फिर it got transferred to the next process. It is either completed or it is gone. There is nothing lying in process. Are we clear about this? Let's say beta that your normal loss is 5% of input. That means guys, if you introduce 10,000 units, the entity will lose 500 units and your normal output is supposed to be 9,500 units. Let's say that the actual output is also 9,500 units. I repeat, normal output as such beta is 9,500. Actual output is also 9,500. That means there is no amount of abnormal loss. This is same as example 1. ये लिख लो अभी साथ में अभी जो पढ़ाया. Same as example 1 बेटा, except क्या है? Normal losses. Normal loss is 5% of input. No scrap value. मतलब this normal loss is not going to give us any realization, residual value, scrap value. So if your input is 10,000 units and you're supposed to incur a loss of 5% beta, what will be the amount of normal loss? 500 units. So my normal output is supposed to be 9,500. Actual output is also 9,500 units guys. So we will not have any abnormal loss. तुम्हारा normal output is 9,500 guys. Actual output is also 9,500. So there's no amount of abnormal loss here. What did we learn about normal loss better? Normal loss agar hai guys, we have learned that normal loss should always be adjusted to the cost of the remaining good units. Yes or no guys? So here when you determine your cost per unit guys, the account is going to remain same. Your left hand side of the account will never change better. Only the right hand side will keep changing. तुम कितना खर्च कर रहे हो, that is not changing guys. What is changing is the amount of output. So here I'll write 2 direct materials. सुन लो वापस अभी. 2 direct material 10,000 units at an amount of 5 lakhs. 2 direct wages beta amount is, and 2 overheads beta 3 lakhs. I have a normal loss of how many units? 500 units. 0 rupees. Why should I write 0 rupees? If I write anything in the amount column guys, I will end up allocating an amount cost to normal loss. And we know that normal loss beta is not given any share of expenditure. In fact, the cost of normal loss should always be adjusted to the cost of remaining good units. For that to happen, guys, you will not write anything in the amount column. Are we clear about this? So when you compute your cost per unit, guys, you're supposed to write whatever is your expenditure incurred divided by the amount of normal output. This is no longer divided by 10,000 units, guys. This is 15,50,000 divided by 9,500 units. Are we clear? 163 point. So here I will write by process 2. How many units will I transfer to process 2? At an effective cost of 163.16. Here to tally the account, I'll write 15,50,000. तुम वो multiply करके 5-10 रुपए का फर्क आ रहा है ना, keep the change, guys. So I'll write 15,50,000. That is the amount of output that will get transferred to the next process. Are you all getting it? Yes or no, guys? So if there is normal loss, what will you do? Normal loss should be adjusted to the cost of remaining good units. Normal loss cannot be given any share of expenditure, guys. That is why you write normal loss in the units column, but you do not write anything in the amount column. Is that clear, guys? लिखो बेटा ये अभी. Same as example 2. That is, we still have normal loss of 5%. Normal output is still 500 units. Actual output is still 9,500 units. Except, guys, that normal loss as such better has a scrap value of 20 rupees per unit. Normal loss, any loss better that is arising in the manufacturing process will have a realization of 20 rupees per unit. If you sell that, you will get 20 rupees per unit. We do not allocate any cost to normal loss, but in case the normal loss results in any realization, you should deduct that from the total manufacturing cost incurred. And only the balance cost better will be allocated to the remaining units. I told you this, guys, under the accounting for scrap also, I believe. कहीं तो भी करे थे ना? Foundation नहीं है, यहाँ पे भी शायद कहीं तो भी. अगर scrap आता है, I said scrap realization reduces your total manufacturing cost. So, ठीक है. अगर यहाँ पे नहीं पढ़ाया मैं in costing, guys. So just remember, if there is any amount of scrap value that you are realizing, guys, for normal loss, I will include that amount, but by including that amount, all we are doing beta is we are reducing. Beta पढ़ाई पे ध्यान दे. Third bench श्रुति. पढ़ाई पे ध्यान दे रही. What will you do beta is you will reduce the total amount from the cost incurred, and the balance cost will be allocated to all the main products that are being manufactured. Are we clear about this? So let's say, guys, scrap value is एक बार ये कर 9,500 into 160. 15 lakhs 20,000 minus 15 lakh 50 30,000 divided by 500 60. Scrap value 60 rupees per unit, guys. अरे वो round figure answer आना बोल के उल्टा calculate कर रहा हूँ बेटा. क्या problem है तुम्हारे को? Get out. Example 3, guys, same as example 2. मतलब सब कुछ same है except, guys, क्या बोला मैं? Loss will be sold at 60 rupees per unit. Alright, so when you prepare this process account, guys, वापस debit side is not going to change, guys. It is exactly going to remain same. सबको समझ में आ रहा है ना क्या कर रहे हैं? To direct material 10,000 units, guys, you've incurred a cost of 5 lakhs, 7 lakh 50,000 or 3 lakhs. Two overheads better 3 lakhs. Then there was normal loss better of 500 units. Hayana. And this normal loss ke against, guys, I will now write at 60 per unit 30,000. But sir, abhi to aap lamba thoda bhashan diya that we should not write any amount against normal loss. I am not allocating any cost to normal loss, guys. In fact, whatever amount that I am going to realize against normal loss as such, guys, that amount I am adjusting against the cost of the remaining product. By writing that 30,000 on that side as such, guys, when I write by process 2 and transfer this 9,500, I will not transfer 15 lakh 50,000. I will now transfer only 15 lakh 20,000. वो cost per unit जो है ना बेटा, it should always be based on, सुनो guys, it will always be based on whatever is your cost incurred. From that I should deduct scrap value of normal loss divided by the amount of normal output. जो भी तुम्हारा cost incurred है guys, from that you will deduct this. We have incurred a cost of 15 lakh 50. We are realizing scrap value beta 500 multiplied by 60 rupees divided by how many units? I will get 100 and this will be at 160 per unit. Are you getting it guys? This process 2 9000 will go to the next amount as such beta. Next process. समझ में आ रहा है बेटा? Now खुशहाली because you are copying beta. Can you tell me what will I do with that normal loss? हो गया बेटा, वो वहां पे अकाउंट में लिख लिया. अभी नॉर्मल लॉस अकाउंट में गाइस, डोंट यू थिंक नॉर्मल लॉस बेटा यूनिट्स 500, अमाउंट कितना है? डिड यू नॉट क्रेडिट दैट देयर? दैट मींस वी क्रिएटेड नॉर्मल लॉस अकाउंट. हाउ डू आई क्लोज दिस अकाउंट बेटा? I debited to normal loss account. Perfect beta. Now I have to close normal loss account. I'll write by process 1. Process 1 में वापस बेटा on the debit side I will write to normal loss. How will I close that? By writing by normal loss. फिर उसको यहाँ पे लेके आएंगे, फिर लेके जाएंगे बेटा and we'll say life is like karma, घूमते रहती. By process 2. I do not discriminate. समझ में आ रहा है बेटा? गाइस प्रोसेस 1 में नॉर्मल लॉस हो रहा है, बदनाम प्रोसेस 2 हो रहा है बेटा. कैन यू ट्रांसफर दैट टू प्रोसेस 2? नेवर. श्लोक. बाय कॉस्टिंग P&L अकाउंट, फ्रॉम व्हेन डिड नॉर्मल लॉस बेटा इज बीइंग डेबिटेड टू P&L अकाउंट? वो पीछे वाला भी P&L अकाउंट बोला, अब चुप बैठ गया. वो कहा अरे मेरे को भी सुजल हाँ. नाउ इज बिहेविंग लाइक P&L, ऐसे कैसे? यस गाइस, कैसे शाने लोग. हाँ सालों को सबको एक्टिंग में जाना था. व्हाट डू यू थिंक? व्हाई डू यू थिंक बेटा P&L? Did you ever come across a situation guys wherein in P&L account we have written two normal loss? I believe there's only one loss that goes to P&L account and that is abnormal loss. नॉर्मल. अरे रुको बे श्रीनिवास, तू बोल बेटा. तालियां बहुत मार रहा तू, क्या प्रैक्टिस कर रहा? भरत तू प्रैक्टिस कर रहा? नहीं, तू बोल बेटा भरत. व्हाट विल यू डू विद दिस नॉर्मल लॉस? हाँ नहीं मालूम. यस बेटा हर्षित. ओके गाइस, यू विल राइट इट. थोड़े लोग क्लास में से ऐसे कर रहे हैं मेरा भाई नहीं है बोल के. ठीक है गाइस, बाय कैश you are going to sell it. That is why we wrote no. Why are we writing by 30,000? मतलब पैसा मिलने वाला था ना. If you are adjusting it against manufacturing overheads as such guys, are you not increasing overheads? Where will you take those overheads? Process account. वहाँ पे लिख लेंगे 2 overheads 3,30,000 बोल के. If you adjust that against any other expenditure account, means you're increasing that expenditure, means you've never understood the accounting for normal loss. When I write by 30,000, I said that it will have a value, will be sold at 60 per unit. समझ में आ रहा है नहीं आ रहा है? Sir, what if you did not sell this yet? I will write by balance carried down. Scrap is an inventory. I will disclose it in my books of accounts at NRV. The ones who are done with AS2 will know that scrap is always disclosed at NRV. I'll write by scrap 30,000. Someday I will sell it. No. I'll write by cash 30,000 rupees. This inventory will be sold. If you're transferring that to P&L account, you made normal abnormal in nature. If you're transferring that to expenditure account, what was the whole point of reducing 30,000 from expenditure when you had to increase expenditure again? यहाँ से 30,000 minus करके वापस overheads बढ़ा रहे हो guys. Are you not again increasing expenditure account only? Please think about the subsequent process also better. ऐसी आंसर बोल के छोड़ो मत. समझ में आ रहा है नहीं आ रहा है? So this is what you will do if there is normal loss and normal loss has scrap value. Again, are we allocating any cost to normal loss? No, we are not allocating any cost to normal loss. Sir, फिर ये क्या लिख रहा है? We are actually going to realize money by selling normal loss. वो जो पैसा मिलने वाला है, it is going to reduce our expenditure incurred. I'm reducing it from my expenditure incurred and I'm taking the balance amount that will get allocated to the remaining units. Are we clear about this? Yes or no guys? Copy better. चेंज हो सकता है बेटा, एस्टिमेट है ना, हमेशा चेंज होता है, बट इतना ज़्यादा एस्टिमेट चेंज नहीं होता है. मेटल स्क्रैप बेटा 5% वेरिएशन नॉर्मल है, बहुत कॉमन है मार्केट में. PNL, दैट डिफरेंस इज सच गाइस. He says, what if this normal loss has a difference in value? You estimated that scrap value is going to be 30,000. What if it changes? If there's this minor variation there as such beta that is coming, if you haven't closed your cost accounts, you adjust it there. Otherwise, you transfer it to P&L account. There's nothing that can be done, guys. But usually, beta, that does not arise. Many organizations have ready-made contracts with all of those scrap मतलब dealers as such beta. कोई भी manufacturing industries, if your parents are into any manufacturing business and they deal with the metal product, beta, ask them. There'll be weekly disposal of scrap. There's an ongoing manufacturing process. हफ्ते में एक दिन वो आएगा, scrap dealer पूरा उठा के लेके जाएगा. Cash will be credited to the accounts. To process one ही बेटा, दिख रहा नहीं, देखो दिखा ना. Unless otherwise given, all the details will be same guys that we have covered earlier. क्या normal loss account copy कर लिए ना? Now let's say guys that normal loss, same as example 2 guys, मतलब there is no scrap value. Okay. However, actual output beta is 9,300 units. Except actual output is equal to 9,300 units. मतलब अभी क्या आ गया यहाँ पे? Abnormal loss. So when I start with this guys, I know that my input is 10,000 units. From this input of 10,000 units, you're going to deduct a normal loss of 5%, that is 500 units. You will get a normal output of how much? 9,500 units. I just said that the actual output is how many units? 9,300 units. I said there's no scrap value of normal loss guys. So you will have an abnormal loss of how many units? Only scrap value of normal loss is adjusted against the cost of remaining good units, not the cost of abnormal loss. हाँ या ना बच्चों? Now guys, that normal loss, ये गलत कॉपी करा मैं, will not have any scrap value. There is an abnormal loss guys of how many units? 200 units. And there is amount of inventory that will get transferred to the next process at 9,300 units. Alright guys, when you compute your cost per unit guys, it is always and always based on normal output only. So you will take cost incurred minus scrap value 0 divided by the amount of normal output. 15,50,000 divided by 9,500 units. Same as case 2. 160. Can you multiply abnormal loss beta 163.16 into 200 units? 32,600. 632. दूसरा वाला मल्टीप्लाई कर लो बेटा 15,17,368. This will be the amount guys. Are we clear beta? You might get a difference of 1 rupee, but I just want to tally that. Total 15,50,000 आना चाहिए बेटा. Are we clear? You understood what we just did? If there is abnormal loss also, cost per unit will be based on only normal output. Are we clear? Normal loss के against वही आ रहा है ना आंसर? 20 रुपये. 163.16. आगे क्या था? ये 32,632 है. हाँ ठीक है बेटा, ऊपर का 632 करेक्ट है क्या? 163.1 फिर नीचे वाला करेक्ट है. दिमाग खराब ना करो अभी. बट गाइस पे अटेंशन, वो छोड़ो, क्या बोल रहा हूँ मैं? कॉस्ट पर यूनिट शुड ऑलवेज एंड ऑलवेज बी बेस्ड ऑन normal output. I know my actual output is 9,300 units. That does not mean I divide by 9,300 units. I will still divide by 9,500 units only. Will I prepare normal loss account here? There's no amount of normal loss. Yes or no guys? अगर amount column में कुछ लिखता, I would have prepared normal loss account, I would have sold it. But did I write anything against abnormal loss? Yes, I have written something against abnormal loss. खुशहाली. Let her answer, guys. 2 process 1 beta 200 units valued at 32,632. What do I do better with this? How do I close this? Very good. I will transfer this, guys, to costing P&L account because this is my loss. Normal loss does not get transferred to costing P&L account, guys, but abnormal loss will get transferred to costing P&L account. So the only thing that you have to remember here is that even if there is abnormal loss, cost per unit will still be based on normal output. ठीक है, यहाँ तक लिखो, वो sentence लिखो फिर. Right till this point, guys, abnormal loss of 200 units. Same as example. ये example क्या था? Same as example 4. Except beta scrap realization is 60 per unit. Whether it is normal loss or abnormal loss does not matter, guys. You will be getting an amount of 60 rupees per unit. Scrap realization is 60 rupees per unit. You still have an abnormal loss of 200 units. You will still transfer only 9,300 units to the next process. Are we understanding this, guys? You will not be transferring anything more than 9,300 units to the next process. Your normal loss is 500 units. Your abnormal loss beta is 200 units. Sun lo beta ek second. There is this abnormal loss beta, which is 200 units, and then there is this inventory that is being transferred to the next process, which is 9,300 units. Now, because abnormal loss also has a realization of 60 rupees per unit, guys, how do I compute my cost per unit? हाँ बेटा, my cost per unit, guys, will be equal to cost incurred minus what बेटा? Scrap value. कितना scrap value actually company को आने वाला है अभी? Are you going to get 30,000 or are you going to get 42,000? Obviously, the total scrap that the company has generated now beta is 700 units and not 500 units. There's also an abnormal loss of 200 units. So we are going to sell a scrap of 700 units, all of that at a price of 60 rupees per unit. We are going to get 42,000 rupees, guys, against sale of scrap. So when you're computing your cost per unit, guys, what do? You know that your cost incurred is 15,50,000, guys. Should I deduct 42,000 or should I deduct 0 rupees from it? हाँ बेटा, only 30,000. It is always and always scrap value of normal loss. But sir, are we not getting an amount of 160 NI? Sir, are we not getting that extra 12,000 also? It will be adjusted against the cost of abnormal loss. So here in the process account, you're going to take scrap value of only normal loss units. You will not take scrap value of total loss. Doesn't matter even if there's an abnormal loss. You will still write only 500 units better. This will be 160 into 200, 32,000, guys. Total 15 lakh, 50 में से 62,000 क्या तो 14 lakh 88,000. This will be at the rate of 160 per unit. All right. ये समझ में आ रहा है क्या बोल रहा हूँ मैं अभी? When you prepare normal loss account, guys, and abnormal loss account, normal loss account में guys, to process one, how many units? 500 units valued at 30,000. Are you not going to sell all of this? Buy cash 500 units at 30,000 rupees. Yes or no, kids? When I prepare my abnormal loss account, guys, from process 1, what is the amount of abnormal loss that was carried forward? 200 units valued at 32,000. Yes or no? But this entire 32,000 will not be transferred to profit and loss account. Against this, I will first sell it at 60 rupees per unit. I will get 12,000. Baki ka only 20,000 will get transferred to costing P&L account. It's like this, but if you've ever done questions of final accounts, you first remove the cost of abnormal loss from trading account. But if there's any insurance realized against it, only the net amount will be debited to P&L account. I'm removing the entire cost of abnormal loss, guys, from my process account. But the amount that will get debited to P&L account is the net loss. My net loss is not 32,000. My net loss is only 20,000 because you're still going to realize the scrap value of 12,000 against that abnormal loss of 32,000 rupees. Are we understanding this? Any doubt in this part? Copy, guys. So अभी क्या याद रखोगे? Even if there is abnormal loss का scrap value, guys, cost per unit will always be based on normal loss का scrap value and normal output. Guys. Same as example 2 beta, that means you will still have normal loss of 5%, guys. There's no scrap value, but let's say, guys, that the actual output is 9,600 units. Instead of 9,500 or less beta, we have a higher output that is 9,600 units. Normally it does not arise, guys, in real life, but we cannot help it. They will give these questions also. 10,000 units, guys, minus normal loss kitna hai? 5%, guys, that is 500 units. So your normal output is supposed to be how many units? Normal output is supposed to be 9,500 units. Your actual output, guys, will be 9,600 units. Yes or no, guys? In dono ka differences, guys, will be an abnormal gain of how many units? Of 100 units. Same as example 2. Now, beta, you have an abnormal gain, guys, of 100 units. Now, guys, tell me, how is it going to affect your valuation of inventories? Will you divide by 9,500 or will you divide by 9,600? 9,000? Still 500. Had it been materials chapter, guys, I told you that there cannot be abnormal gain in procurement of raw material. There I told you, guys, if there's abnormal gain, you will divide it by 9,600. If you recall, I've given you an example, guys, in materials chapter. जान तो भी दिया होगा तुम, but यहाँ पे, guys, in process costing, whether it is abnormal loss or abnormal gain does not make any difference. Cost per unit should always and always be based on only normal output. ये लिखो बेटा, I'll give that sentence. बनाओ बेटा सब लोग process account. यहाँ पे scrap value नहीं है, guys. The only thing that will happen बेटा is now you will write abnormal gain on the debit side, because the output that will get transferred as such, guys, to the next process is by process 2, it will be 9,600 units. Yes or no, kids? Normal loss का scrap value 0 है. So cost per unit, guys, will now be same 15,50,000 beta will be divided by how many units? 9,500, 163.16. So if you multiply 163.16, guys, with 100 units, you will get 16,316. So this will become 15,66,316. Normal loss ke against, but we are going to write 0 rupees. Abnormal gain will be written on the debit side, 100 units valued at 163.16. The total value of this abnormal gain beta will be 16,316 rupees. Now, guys, how are we going to close abnormal gain account beta? If you've all done this, guys, abnormal gain account banao beta मेरे साथ अभी. याद रखना, guys, abnormal gain में debit side पे नहीं आएगा. It will come on the credit side. I will write by process 1. We have brought in 100 units from process 1 valued at 16,316 rupees. What do I do with this? Any abnormal losses or gains beta will be transferred to costing P&L. But this is now a gain beta that goes to your costing P&L account. Are we clear about this? Instead of loss beta, we have a gain now that will get transferred to costing P&L account. Example number, ये कौन सा था? 6 था. अभी example number 7, guys. Same as example 6, that is, you still have an abnormal gain, guys, of 100 units. Let's say beta that the scrap realization is 60 rupees per unit. Think about it for a minute now. Scrap realization, guys, is 60 rupees per unit. You've understood what I'm trying to tell you, guys? You are telling me that we will take scrap value of 30,000. I am telling you that we will not receive scrap value of 30. We will receive only 24,000. Minus. So you're telling me that we'll deduct scrap value of only 400 units, but in the denominator we'll take 500 units normal loss. एक्सप्रेशन देखो, तो आंसर बोल रहे भाई, ऐसे क्वेश्चन आपको पूछ बार बार बोल के. हाँ 158.96. हाँ तू भी वही बोला ना, 56 बोला थोड़ा क्या रे, 160.63. एक्सलेंट आंसर का तालियां मारो रे सब लोग आयुष के लिए. I was just waiting for that, guys. We will still. अरे भाई इतनी तालियां मरवा दिया लोगों से, पागल तो क्या लग रहा है, लोग प्रैक्टिस कर रहे हैं. So guys, doesn't matter whether there's abnormal gain or abnormal loss, the cost per unit still remains at 160 rupees only. It will not change. I will still write 500 units, 30,000 as such better, but I know that I will not get scrap value, guys. Kortan garda ni garda kortan. Guys, my cost per unit does not change, guys. It will remain at how much? 160. 15 lakh 50 minus 30,000 divided by 9,500 units, 160 rupees per unit. So this will be 16,000 and this beta will be 160. 16 मतलब कितना हो जाता है बेटा? 15 lakhs 36,000. But when I prepare normal loss account, guys, I know that I will not get scrap value of how many units? 500 units वहां से आया, guys. I will be able to sell how many units? 400 units only. But why am I not getting scrap value of the remaining 100 units? I will transfer that to abnormal gain account and reduce my abnormal gain. I'll write by abnormal gain 100 units, 6,000. यहाँ पे process 1 से, guys, we did not get 100 units at 16,000. I'll write 2 normal loss 100 units 6,000. Only the net gain will get transferred to. Common sense use karo, guys. Even if there had it been any abnormal gain, you would have got 6,000 rupees. अगर abnormal gain नहीं आता, won't you sell them as scrap and get 6,000? But abnormal gain has a cost of 160 rupees per unit. That means your actual gain is only the incremental 100 rupees per unit. That 10,000 rupees only will go to P&L account. Are you getting it? So whether there is abnormal loss or abnormal gain does not matter. Cost per unit will still be based on normal output. So that means you will deduct scrap value of normal loss, you will divide it by normal output. However, if there is abnormal gain, you will not realize scrap value of all the normal loss units. To the extent you are not able to realize, you will transfer that or adjust it against the value of abnormal gain and transfer only the net balance of abnormal gain to costing P&L account. ये सबसे important वाला case है. समझ में आ रहा है? Whenever there is abnormal gain, remember that there will be an internal adjustment, guys, from normal loss account to abnormal gain account, and that is being done only to arrive at the correct cost per unit. Are we clear about this? Yes or no? I repeat again. What is your normal loss? 500 units, but you will be able to sell only? To compute cost per unit, I will still take scrap value of 500 units. In normal loss account, I will receive cash only for 400 units. I am not getting cash on 100 units because I will adjust it against abnormal gain. Are we clear about this? Shout out. A product passes through 3 processes A, B and C. The details of expenses incurred on the 3 processes during the year 1992 was as under. Units issued or introduced in process A beta by 10,000 units. guys जल्दबाजी में मत खत्म करो बेटा. I know that you're always in a hurry to finish questions. Don't worry, I'll give you 5-6 questions as homework today. आराम से घर पे बैठ के फटाफट करना, ठीक है? So guys, 10,000 units were introduced in process A at a cost of 100 rupees per unit. So you लक्षित पढ़ाई पे बेटा. The basic raw materials introduced were 10,000 multiplied by 100 guys, 10 lakh rupees. उसके अलावा in process A sundry materials introduced were 100. There will always be this one raw material that will determine the total number of units guys. Other raw materials will be added. Just say, let's say better that you are making pizzas as such guys, the number of pizza bases that you buy is 100. How many pizzas will you make? Can the amount of ketchup on that as such better, or some other sauce as such guys, pizza sauce, very good better, huh? Or the amount of capsicum, onions better, Jain say mushroom nako, huh? कौन छी बोल रहा है पाइनएप्पल के लिए? हाँ. Sundry materials guys, labor and direct expenses guys, these are the amounts that we have incurred. All right. Selling price per unit of output guys is 120 rupees. वैसे ही process B, process C guys. Management expenses during the year were rupees 80,000. Selling expenses were 50,000. These are not allocable to the processes. These are not allocable to the processes. बोलने की जरूरत नहीं है बेटा. We're supposed to have common sense that manufacturing expenses only can be included in process account. Management expenses and selling expenses are not manufacturing expenses. Guys, process account is like trading account without sales. The objective of, yeah, it is manufacturing account that we have learned in foundation. All right. So you will not include all other expenses. You will only include, very good, better. The actual output of the three processes were A 9,300, B 5,400, C 2,100. 2/3 of the output of process A and 1/2 of the output of process B was passed on to the next process, and the remaining was sold. So at every stage, a part of the output is being transferred to the next process, a part of the output is being, entire output of process C was sold. वो last वाला है ना? Obviously, but it will not be transferred to the next process, it will be sold. Normal loss of the three processes are as follows. Process A 5%, process B 15%, and process C 20%. The loss of process A was sold at 2 rupees per unit, B 5 rupees per unit, C 10 rupees per unit. Prepare three process accounts, P&L account, normal loss account, abnormal loss account, abnormal gain account. वो नहीं पूछा बेटा, but P&L account बनाने के लिए abnormal loss, abnormal gain बनाना ही पड़ता, because that is how you will know how much is the amount to be transferred. Is that clear? Now guys, I'll solve. ये question ना बेटा is proper question that includes everything related to it. Includes abnormal loss, it includes abnormal gain, it includes normal loss. The first thing that we will show is the computation of total number of units. We will matlab I will. You will listen first. There is process A guys, in which the input of raw material is how much? The normal loss that we are supposed to incur beta in the first process is 5%. That means, what do you think will be your normal output guys of process A? 9,000. The actual output of process A guys is how many units? Obviously there's an abnormal of how many units? But before I write that guys, how much is transferred to next process and how much is sold? नीचे देखो बेटा sentence. Actual output of the two processes are given guys. उसके आगे क्या दिया? 2/3 of the output of process A and 1/2 of the output of process B was passed on to the next process. So यहाँ पे 2/3 guys of 9,300. How much is sold? Now I will write abnormal loss. How much is abnormal loss? Normal output 9,500, actual output 9,300. There's an abnormal loss of 200 units. समझ में आ रहा है नहीं आ रहा है guys? अभिषेक बेटा तू अभी नेक्स्ट प्रोसेस में बेटा इनपुट कितना रहेगा? 6,000. Correct. How much is the amount of normal loss beta in process B? Let him answer guys. परसेंटेज बोल पहले. 15%. How much is that, beta? 930. How much should be your normal output? 5,200 and कैलकुलेटर भी तेरे साथ धोखा. मुझे तो मेरे कैलकुलेटर ने लूटा. what is the actual output, बेटा? क्वेश्चन में टेबल के नीचे थर्ड लाइन देखो, एक्चुअल आउटपुट ऑफ द 3 प्रोसेसेस कितना है? वो 5 और 4 के बीच में थोड़ी जुदाई आ गई मालूम है, बट वो है एक ही बेटा. वेरी गुड. इसमें से हाउ मच इज ट्रांसफर्ड टू द नेक्स्ट प्रोसेस? 2000. द रिमेनिंग हाफ बेटा इज सोल्ड. Do you have an abnormal loss or an abnormal gain here? Normally you were supposed to produce only 5,270 units, but then we produced 5,000. We have a gain of 130 units. Process C, Abhishek sir, what should be the input? Very good. How much is the amount of normal loss? 20%, beta. How much will that be? Right, click it, beta. How much is the actual output? यहाँ पे भी थोड़ी जुदाई आ गई देख बेटा. 2000. ऐसे डाउट नहीं आता कि नॉर्मल अगर 2160 है तो एक्चुअल 100 कैसे बोल के. समझ में आ रहा नहीं आ रहा बेटा? How much is transferred to the next process? Entire output was sold. Classic example of when I'm reading the question, do not read. क्योंकि अगर पढ़ लिए समझो, सब समझ में आता ना नंबर कौन सा कहाँ से कहाँ आ रहा बोल के. ऐसे कैसे बेटा? लाइफ में मजा थोड़ी रहता. There should be some surprise element. No. Is there abnormal loss or abnormal gain? How many units? ये हो गया अपना सिर्फ इनपुट आउटपुट कैलकुलेशन गाइस. नाउ जैसे अपन वो 7 एग्जाम्पल्स किए, वैसे आई विल हैव टू डू 3 times. Process A separately, process B separately, process C separately. We are allowed to club normal loss and abnormal loss and gain accounts. We are allowed, nahi. In fact, that is the only alternative. Because suggested answers में they will not present normal loss account separately for process A, separately for process B. Guys, they're going to club everything. So we'll follow the same treatment here also. Are we clear about this? Yes or no, guys? तीनों एक साथ आना chances कम है बेटा. जैसे next question, there are only 2 processes. Fairly simple, ठीक है? 10 मार्क के लिए फ्री मार्क्स ही है गाइस. ये अभी कुछ है ही नहीं इसमें. Are we understanding this, guys? Copy करो बेटा output details, right? 10,000 units valued at what amount, beta? 100 rupees. That's a basic raw material that we are introducing, guys. We are introducing a total amount of 10,000 units valued at an amount of 10 lakh rupees. I'll write 2 raw material or you can write 2 input. जो भी word use करना है कर सकते हो बेटा. 10,000 units valued at 10 lakhs. Line बाद में मारो बेटा, इस पर ध्यान दो अभी. 2 sundry materials, guys. What are the other materials that we are introducing? 10,000 rupees. Even that is a manufacturing expenditure. What are the amount of direct wages, beta? 30,000 rupees. Do we have any direct expenses here? 6,000. Every question, guys, all the manufacturing expenses you will always write on the debit side first. Yes or no? Then, guys, there is normal loss here. Is there normal loss? How many units? You've written detailed units column, guys. 500 units. Is normal loss valued at cost or is it valued at scrap value? You always write scrap value. Why do we write scrap value on the credit side? So that you reduce that from the total cost incurred. What's the scrap value of process A? 2 rupees per unit. How much will that become? Is there any amount of abnormal loss or abnormal gain here? Abnormal loss. How many units? 200 units. How much is the amount of inventory that is getting transferred to the next process? 6002. How much is the amount of inventory that is getting sold? You never write sales value, guys, in process account, because unless otherwise given, these are all cost accounts, cost centers. They're not profit centers. Even if inventory is sold and selling price is given, we will book that sales in P&L account. We will transfer cost of sales from here. Are we clear? That means even if inventory is sold, it is still valued at cost per unit. It will not be directly written as by sales. By doing this, where are we booking profit? In P&L account. In P&L account, guys, on the debit side, I will write to cost of sales. On the credit side, I will write by sales. Are we understanding this, guys? अब ये जो amounts लिखना है ना बेटा, that will depend on what? Cost per unit. Cost per unit is always and always cost incurred minus what? Scrap value of normal loss divided by normal output. चाहिए तो बेटा once you compute cost per unit, ये तीनों numbers अलग इंक में लिख लेना ताकि समझ में आए that these numbers you will get only after computing cost per unit. My total cost incurred, guys, is how much बेटा? I will write अभी के लिए बेटा I'm writing individual figures. 10 lakhs plus 10,000 plus 30,000 plus 6,000 minus scrap value of normal loss 1,000 divided by normal output 9,500. What is my cost per unit? 110. So this abnormal loss ka 110, 22,000 will go to abnormal loss account. Process B ka 110, 6,82,000 will go to process B account. Cost of sales 3,41,000 will go to my cost of sales account, P&L account. समझ में आया क्या किया अभी? I'm not preparing normal loss account, abnormal loss account now. We'll be preparing normal loss and abnormal loss account later. Is everyone clear about this? Any doubt in this? Ask now. समझ में आया? Why did I write scrap value of normal loss and everything? It's the same thing that we have just done, guys. अब भी जो 7 cases करे वही कर रहे और कुछ नया नहीं कर रहे. Now, guys, process B. When you present, why did I not include management expenses and selling expenses? They are not. वो कोई process costing नहीं सिखाया था अपन को. This is what we have learned in the first few topics that we have done so far, guys. The first few topics are very clear that you can only include manufacturing expenses and not other expenses. So even if they give management expenses and selling expenses, guys, you will always transfer them to P&L account. समझ में आ रहा है बेटा चिराग? सीधा देखो ना बे. थोड़े बच्चे ऐसे क्यों देखते रहे? सब नीचे की आंख काम करती है ऐसे. Yukti. Process B better. First thing that you will write, guys, here is to process A. Did we transfer some output from process A to process B? How many units? At a cost of 6 lakhs? I will write 6,200 at a cost of 6,82,000. Guys, I'm asking you to listen because I know there's nothing that I have to explain after the first question. I will have to just wait till you finish all of those questions better. जब तक equivalent units वाला concept नहीं आएगा, work in progress, wherein we will have to compute cost per unit separately for material, separately for labor, separately for overheads, और कुछ नहीं. All right. Two sundry materials, guys. What is the amount? 15,000. Two direct wages. 80,000. Two direct expenses. 18,150. Is there any normal loss here? Without sleeping, guys, how much is the normal loss? बच्चे ऐसे हाँ सडन में उठ के. What is the amount of normal loss, guys? 9. What's the cost scrap value per normal loss? 4,650. In this question, I have in this process, I have abnormal gain. How many units? 130. How many units are being transferred to the next process? 2,700. How much is your cost of sales? Number of units, beta, 2,000. ये जो इनके अगेंस्ट अमाउंट्स लिखना है, दैट आई विल नो ओनली आफ्टर कंप्यूटिंग कॉस्ट पर यूनिट. Again guys, it is always and always based on total cost incurred minus scrap value of normal loss. Doesn't matter whether there's abnormal loss or abnormal gain. Yes or no guys? Mahati, how much did you get beta for process B? Divided by an output of how many units beta? How much is that? 150 per unit. So this beta will be at 150 rupees, 4,05,000. This will be at a price of 150, 4,05,000. This will be at a price of 150, 19,000. Same way for process C. Once we are done with that beta, we'll prepare normal loss account. We cost of sales लिख रहा हूँ समझ में आया ना? We will book sales but in P&L account. Are we clear about this? चलो बेटा copy करो. With process C also, the input of process C guys will be 2,700 units valued at an amount of 4,05,000. So here guys, you're going to write beta 2 process B. What is the number of units guys? 2,700 valued at 4,05,000. What are the other materials that we are adding in this process beta? Sundry materials that are added is 5,000. Direct expenses, so direct wages guys are 65,000 and direct expenses are 27,200. In this process also beta we have a normal loss. How much is the amount of normal loss? 540 units valued at 10 rupees per unit, so that becomes 5,400. We have an abnormal loss of 60 units and then beta there is cost of sales. अगर ये units transfer नहीं होते guys and they would have used the word transfer to warehouse, we would have written by finished goods account. I will give a note about this later. If they wouldn't have spoken about any sales and they simply say that units completed are so much, we write by FG account, finished goods account. Process account is like a work in process account. From work in process account, we're transferring goods to FG account. So once you write this guys, you're supposed to arrive 2,100 है ना? Supposed to arrive at cost per unit guys based on normal cost incurred. So that'll be 4,05,000 plus 5,000, 4,10,000 plus 65,000, 4,75,000 plus 27,200 minus 5,400 divided by 2,160 units. 230 per unit. You're going to value abnormal loss at 230 beta, that will be 13,800 and cost of sales guys will be 4,83,000. Abnormal loss beta would be 13,800 and cost of sales will be 4,83,000. Please check guys. Are we all done with this? When we present normal loss account guys, this normal loss that is being brought in guys from 3 different accounts. To process A guys, from the first process we got a normal loss of 500 units valued at 1,000. Yes or no guys? To process B guys, from process B we got a total normal loss of 930 units valued at. To process C guys, from process C we got valued at 5,000. As long as there is no abnormal loss, the entire scrap value of normal loss will be realized. As long as there is no abnormal gain. Okay? So when we write by cash guys, against process A, I will get entire 500 units valued at 1,000. Against process B, I will only get 800 units valued at 5 rupees, matlab 4,000. Against process C, I will get entire 540, 5,400. Process B का पूरा क्यों नहीं आ रहा है guys? There's an abnormal gain. That's the reason why we are not going to realize the entire scrap value. That will be transferred guys to abnormal gain account. This is against process B के units. How many units? 130 units, 5 rupees, 650 rupees. Are we clear, guys? 130 units valued at 5 rupees per unit, guys, and that is 650 rupees per unit. Normal account, normal loss account close. अब आता abnormal loss account. How many processes beta have abnormal loss account? 2 processes. From process A, guys, we have how many units? 200 units valued at 22,000. From process C, guys, there are 60 units valued at abnormal loss ka bhi scrap value you will realize. So again you will write first by cash. Against process A, 200 units at 2 rupees per unit. Scrap value beta is 2 rupees for process A. Process C का scrap value कितना है बेटा? 10 rupees per unit. 60 into 10, 600. The net difference, guys, will be transferred to costing P&L account. Balancing figure. Out of this 35,800, we have realized a cash of 1,000 rupees. So we will transfer 34,000 to P&L account. Are you all following this? Yes or no, guys? Abnormal gain, beta. We have only one process in which there is an abnormal gain, and that is process B. यहाँ पे credit side पे पहले आएगा by process B. The gain is 130 units valued at. Instead of writing 2 cash, guys, you will write 2 normal loss. Because of this abnormal gain, we did not realize a scrap value of 5 rupees per unit. ये जो ऊपर लिखा मैं. By abnormal gain, process B 130 units at 5 rupees. And that is how much? 650. The balance net gain will go to your costing P&L account. 18,850 rupees. Are we all clear about this? Yes or no, kids? Now when we present costing P&L account, guys, or just P&L account, look at all the process accounts, guys, and tell me what is the cost of sales that was brought in from all of these accounts. Cost of sales, guys. Process A se beta, what was the cost of sales that was brought forward? 3,41,000. Ek second. Process B beta. 4 lakh. Abhilash, ऊपर का AC on करवाना है please. Process C, guys. 4,83,000. These were the cost of sales, guys. By sales, guys, can you tell me how many units of process A did we sell? Up selling price bolo beta. 120. 3,70,000. Are you all following, guys? Process B ke how many units did we sell outside? At a selling price of? How much is that? 4,45,500. Process C? 2,100 at 20. Let's not forget, guys, there were management expenses that we have not debited to P&L account. How much is management expenses? And then there were selling expenses. 50,000 rupees. Iske alawa, guys, there was this abnormal loss that we have brought forward. Yes. The net abnormal loss that needs to be debited to P&L account is 34,800. Hi, Anna Bacho. How much is the amount of abnormal gain that we are crediting? 18,850. हो गया बेटा. You will get your net profit or net loss. Net loss कितना है? 32,000. By net loss बेटा balancing figure 32,450. हो गया guys question. This is a detailed question ऐसा बेटा that has almost everything. इसलिए ये कराया पहले. समझ में आया नहीं आया तुमको अभी? Why are we not booking profit, guys, in process account? Why are we not writing by sales in process account directly? It's a cost center. That is why we do not compute profits by default. Are we clear? One consolidated profit will be computed directly in costing P&L account. Copy, guys. 9th one, guys. A chemical compound manufactured. 2 decimal कर देना. मतलब वो anyways account को balance जब करेगा तब ensure that the account tallies. तो वो पूरा amount finished goods में adjust कर देना. A chemical compound manufactured through two processes, namely X and Y. Y is dependent on the output generated by X, and the semi-finished chemical compound received from X shall be mixed up with further chemicals, further materials in process Y. So this additional material being introduced, guys, in process Y. The details of cost and other particulars for each process are given as follows. Direct material, direct labor, process plant time. That will be for overheads, guys. And expected output is given, actual output is given, realizable value of normal loss. Process Y is given. Same details. Departmental overheads are 30,000 and they should be absorbed on the basis of direct labor cost. You know the direct labor cost is 35,000 and 25,000. So you will have to allocate that departmental overhead of 30,000 in the ratio of 35 and 25. And process plant time represents the attributable plant runtime with respect to each process and is a part of direct process cost. Assume no finished stock and work in progress either at the beginning or at the end of the period. You're required to prepare these accounts. Normal, guys. There are two types of material, guys, here. One is input received from previous process. The other one is the additional material introduced. In the first process, Ronak, additional material introduced, guys. कितना है बेटा first process में? We all know, guys, that normal output is 75%. So what will be the amount of normal loss beta here? 25%, guys. That is 250 kgs. Normal output कितना हो जाएगा? 750. What is the actual output, guys? यहाँ पे you do not have to write how much is transferred to next process, guys, or how much is sold, because everything is being transferred to the next process. 700 है बेटा. How much is the amount of abnormal loss? 50 units, so 50 kgs. In the next process, guys, input received from previous process will be 700. They're adding an additional input of 700, so this will be 1400. Normal loss beta will be 20%, that is 280 kgs. This will become 1120. Actual output is 1150. So there will be an abnormal gain of 30 kgs. Please check, guys. So process X account, guys. Two materials introduced, guys. How much is the amount of material? 1000 kgs at a price of 50 rupees per kg, guys. So that will be 50,000. To direct labor beta, it is 35,000, guys. And then beta 2 plant process cost. How much is the plant process cost beta? 200 hours, guys, at the rate of 60 rupees per hour. And then 2 departmental overheads. Departmental overheads, guys, at 30,000. The question says it should be attributed in the ratio of direct wages. So that will be 35 divided by 35 plus 25. कितना है? 17,500. That's it, right? By normal loss in the first process, beta, we are getting a normal loss of 250 kgs at the rate of 8 rupees per kg. That will be 2,000. Then there is this abnormal loss beta of 50 kgs. And the entire output, guys, is being transferred to process Y. How much is the cost per kg beta? అరే నువ్వు ఎఫ్ఎం కూడా చేసేసినావురా, కాస్టింగ్ చేసినావా? 50,000, guys, plus 35,000 plus 12,000 plus 17,500 minus 2,000 divided by 750 kgs, guys. How much will this be? 150 rupees. Add 150, add 150. 1,05,000. Please stop talking, guys. Process Y beta. Rishi in there. Process Y में बेटा you'll write to process X guys. How many units? 700 kgs received at an amount of 1,05,000. To materials guys. How much is the amount of other materials that we are adding? 700 kgs at the rate of 90 per kg. 63,000. To direct wages beta. How much is the amount of direct wages? 25,000 guys. To plant process cost 9,600. And then beta to departmental overheads. Kitne departmental overheads? 30,000 beta into 25,000 divided by 60,000. That will be 12,500. Then there is normal loss beta in this process. 1400 kgs ka 20%, 280 kgs at the rate of 5 rupees per kg. That will be 1400. To abnormal gain beta. How many kgs? 30 kgs. And then beta by finished goods account 1150 kgs. When nothing is given guys, you'll always write by finished goods in the last process. So how much will be your cost per kg beta now? Cost per kg guys will be 1,05,000 plus 63,000 plus 25,000 plus 9,600 guys plus 12,500 minus 1,400 divided by an output of 1120. How much is this beta? 190.8. Multiply abnormal gain beta by 190.8. 5724. यहाँ पे वो balancing figure लिख देना बेटा. 2,98,000. Just ensure that you tally the process account beta. So for which you will have to write like this. Normal loss account guys. In normal loss account beta, what are we going to write? To process X guys. Process X ka beta normal loss was 250 kgs valued at 8 rupees per kg. So that was 2000. Process Y ka beta normal loss was 280 kgs valued at 5 rupees 1400. When you sell beta, you will be able to sell the entire normal loss of process X 250 kgs at 2000 rupees. You will be able to sell only 250 kgs of process Y. That will be 1250 because there has been an abnormal gain, and that abnormal gain beta will get adjusted. Scrap value of normal loss will get adjusted against that abnormal gain guys. This will be your normal loss account. You're going to get cash only for 250 and 250 kgs. 30 kgs ka beta it will get adjusted against abnormal gain. Abnormal loss account हो गया क्या? Abnormal loss account भी abnormal loss में क्या लिखूं बेटा? To process X. How much is the amount of abnormal loss beta? 50 kgs valued at 7,500. You will still get a scrap value guys against this 50 kgs at the rate of 8 rupees. So that will be 400. How much will be transferred to costing P&L account? 7,100. Please check if you all got this abnormal loss. Total cost of abnormal loss is 7,500 beta, जिसमें से 400 is the amount of cash realization. बाकी का 7,100 will go to costing P&L account. This is abnormal loss. Abnormal gain में भी बेटा similar calculation. What will you write guys in abnormal gain account? By process Y. 30 units at 5724. We have adjusted the scrap value of normal loss beta against this abnormal gain. 30 units at 150. The net difference guys will get transferred to costing P&L account. 5574. Are we all clear about this? Valuation with closing work in progress. Side heading better. Valuation with closing work in progress. Valuation with closing work in progress. We are not bringing in opening work in progress yet, but after we understand this, then I will bring in opening work in progress, because the minute we have opening work in progress, we will also have to worry about FIFO method or weighted average method. Okay. Now, if there is closing work in process, we know that a work in process better will not have the same degree of completion as a completed unit. The cost per unit of a completed unit and the cost per unit of a work in process unit better does not remain same. Obviously better the amount of money that you have spent on work in progress is less. Yes or no? So if there is no normal loss, abnormal loss and all of that बेटा भूल जाओ अभी वो कुछ नहीं है समझो. Let's say if the total amount of input guys is 10,000 units, total expenditure incurred guys is about 20 lakh rupees. ज़्यादा हो गया 5 lakhs guys. ठीक है. If there's no work in progress, there's no normal loss, there's no abnormal loss guys, you know that the output beta will be how many units? 10,000 units. If the output is 10,000 units, what will be your cost per unit? You will write 5 lakhs divided by 10,000 units beta, that is 50 rupees per unit. If there's no normal loss, abnormal loss as such guys, you will get cost per unit of 50 rupees. What if your finished product guys is only 9,000 units, but you have a closing work in progress of 1,000 units? All right, and these 1,000 units as such guys are 50% complete. If these 1,000 units are 50% complete guys, the equivalent number of units would be how much? This 1,000 units 50% complete will be regarded as 500 completed units for the purpose of valuation. Yes or no kids? Are you all following? So equivalent units guys would be completed units 9,000 only. This 1,000 units 50% complete will be 9,500. Now if I compute my cost per unit guys, it will be 5 lakhs divided by 9,550. 52.63 rupees per unit. You will divide 5 lakhs beta by 9,500 units. Yes or no kids? So on my now the problem beta here is the degree of completion, which is 50%, need not be same for all the elements of cost. Usually guys, materials are introduced at the beginning of the process. As far as the expenditure on materials is concerned, it's 100% complete. You have already spent whatever is the amount that is required on materials. The only thing that is yet to be done is the amount of work to be performed on those materials. Wages and overheads will not be fully completed, but material ka kharcha is already done. Let's say guys that out of this expenditure, material is 3 lakhs, wages and overheads are 2 lakhs. Did you not introduce 10,000 units? That means beta, as far as material is concerned, you've already spent money on all of those 10,000 units. What is yet to be incurred is only wages and overhead. So the degree of completion beta does not remain same for all the elements. What if the question tells us that your finished product is 9,000 units, your closing work in progress beta is 1,000 units. These 1,000 units are 100% complete as far as material expenditure is concerned. For labor and overheads, the expenditure is 50% complete. These units are fully completed guys as far as materials are concerned. Are you all getting the point guys here? Material ka jo bhi kharcha karna tha, we have already spent it. We have spent the entire amount. The only thing that is yet to be done beta is the work to be performed on that. Are you getting the point? So when this happens guys, you cannot compute cost per unit. Abhi tak kya kar rahe the beta is, in the previous example, I said material was 3 lakhs, labor and overheads was, I directly divided this by, I can no longer do that. Now when I write cost per unit guys, I will write for material, it is 3 lakhs by 10,000 units. But for labor and overheads, it is 2 lakhs by 9,500 units. Because the degree of completion is different for different expenses, you will have to write equivalent units separately. You cannot directly club them. So your material is effectively costing you 30 rupees per unit, while your labor and overheads are costing you 21 point. Your fully completed unit will still cost you 51.05. समझ में आ रहा है नहीं आ रहा है? If the degree of completion is not same for different elements of cost, 100% it will not be same guys, except for one question. वो question भी वही याद है, but हाँ, please understand that you introduce materials at the beginning of the production process, and that is why guys materials need to have a 100% degree of completion. Other expenses, अभी question में बेटा just to complicate he might tell you that labor has a 50% degree of completion but overheads 40%. कैसे God alone knows, but then they will give us. If they give separate degree of completions for labor and overheads also, even that I need to segregate. I will have to compute separate cost per unit for labor, separate cost per unit guys for overheads. You cannot have one single base for all of them. So here if I want to value my completed units guys, how many units are completed and transferred to the next process? Those 9,000 units you can directly value at 51.05. समझ में आ रहा है नहीं आ रहा है बेटा? For 50. As far as valuation of closing work in progress is concerned guys, material के लिए you will write 1000 units into 30, but for labor and overheads what will I write? 500 units into 21.05. दोनों का टोटल बेटा 40,550 या ना वो कितना है बेटा 21.005 के आगे 26. चलो बेटा लेट्स टेक 4 डेसिमल पॉइंट्स एंड मल्टीप्लाई बेटा ये कितना है 9,000 इंटू 51.0526 474. अब ये एक बार चेक कर लो बेटा 500 इंटू दिस 526. The total beta should be equal to 5 lakhs. That is the amount of expenditure that we have incurred. ठीक है? Are you all getting the point? So what did we learn beta in this example is? What did we learn guys? अगर degree of completion is different for material and labor and overheads, you cannot compute cost per unit collectively as such guys. You will have to compute it separately. Separately as such guys for material, separately for labor and overheads. Are we clear about this? Any doubt in this? What if there is normal loss? पहले ये समझ में आ गया ना सब? It's very simple. It's not complicated at all. Are we clear? Now what if there is normal loss better? एक second. So what if there is normal loss better? Let's say guys 10,000 units introduced. There's a normal loss of 500 units. So your normal output is supposed to be, as of now, no abnormal loss. All right. Out of this 9,500 beta, completed units are, let's say 9,000. And then beta, your work in progress is 500 units. Material 100%. Labor and overheads 60%. All right. Material guys will be 100%. Labor and overheads beta would be 60%. Now, in order to compute your normal output, cost per unit should always be based on normal output. Rather than going by the input route as such guys, we prefer going through the output route. मतलब rather than writing input minus normal loss, we will write output guys plus the amount of abnormal loss, and that should still give us the amount of normal output. Answers will not change. Answers will still remain same. यहाँ पे it is pretty simple research, but what do you think will be your normal output for material? Guys, you all know process account, right beta? Process account में guys we write 2 input. There will be by normal loss. हाँ या ना? अभी तक in order to write normal output, we've always been writing input minus. Now because it might be difficult to do that because of degree of completions, you know that we write by abnormal loss. We write by units transferred to next process. Then there will be अभी नया चीज जो आएगा बेटा is closing work in process. And if there is abnormal gain, I'll write 2 abnormal gain. So normal output beta can be written as You can write units transferred plus closing work in progress plus abnormal loss. If there's no abnormal loss, minus abnormal gain. That will still give me normal output. You can write normal output as units transferred plus closing work in progress plus abnormal loss. Will that still give us normal output only? Yeah, तुम input minus normal loss लिखो या वो लिखो बेटा, क्या फर्क पड़ने वाला है? If there's abnormal gain, what will you do? Minus. You will not write plus abnormal gain, but it has to be minus abnormal gain. Are we clear? But anyways, beta, here you have material के लिए, what will be my number of units, beta? 9,500. For labor and overheads, equivalent units, beta, would be 9,000. Whatever is your material cost, पहले समझ में आया यहाँ पे? Yes or no, guys? If I simply write 10,000 units minus 500, beta, I will write without yawning that my normal output is 9,500 units. But it is not 9,500 for all the elements of expenses. That is why I cannot use the input route anymore. I cannot write input minus normal loss as normal output. What am I going to write? Completed units plus closing work in progress plus abnormal loss minus the amount of. This will become my normal output. Are we clear about this? So now here to compute cost per unit, guys, you're going to divide material expenditure by 9,500 units and you're going to divide labor and overheads beta by 9,300 units. Any doubt in this, guys? Yes or no? That will give us the effective cost per unit. Any doubt so far? First case, beta, no work in progress. Second case, work in progress with same degree of completion. Third case, work in progress with different degree of completions. Fourth case, there is normal loss. Next case, beta, Veere, you help better. What if this normal loss has a scrap value of 10 rupees per unit? We will definitely realize that. Kya vichar hai yaar? Ha. We will definitely realize that amount, guys. If normal loss has a scrap value of 10 rupees, still no abnormal loss, beta. We'll bring in abnormal loss later. Normal loss has a scrap. Cases order में पढ़ो बेटा. It will become simple like the first 10 questions only. बस एक बार ये पूरा पढ़ा दिया. I'll relax. So, what if there is क्या बेटा scrap value of नहीं है बेटा, abnormal loss नहीं है, abnormal gain नहीं है, 500 यूनिट है. सिर्फ सोच अभी तक क्या कर रहे थे? If the scrap value of normal loss रियलाइज कर रहे थे, बट वैल्यूएशन ऑफ इन्वेंट्री में क्या कर रहे थे? माइनस कर रहे थे. वेरी गुड गाइस. सो फार वी हैव लर्नड वन थिंग, दैट टू कंप्यूट कॉस्ट पर यूनिट एज सच, गाइस, you write expenses incurred. Yes or no? From that you deduct what, beta? Scrap value of normal loss, and you divide it by the amount of what, beta? Normal output. वो हंस रही, क्या कर रही है इसको भी नहीं मालूम है, बट एनीवेज समझ में आया बेटा ये. अब प्रॉब्लम क्या हो गया वीर, इज दैट आई एम राइटिंग मटेरियल कॉस्ट बाय यूनिट्स फॉर मटेरियल. आई एम राइटिंग लेबर एंड ओवरहेड्स, देन आई एम राइटिंग यूनिट्स फॉर देम सेपरेटली. अब ये माइनस कहां से करूं यार? अलग अलग दो बार थोड़ी आएगा मेरे को स्क्रैप वैल्यू ऑफ नॉर्मल लॉस. लेट्स से बेटा इन आवर एग्जांपल मटेरियल कॉस्ट इज 3 lakhs डिवाइडेड बाय 9,500 units. 2 lakhs divided by 9,300 units. Scrap value I just told you. Are you all following, guys? Scrap value I just told you, beta, 500 units at 10 rupees, 5,000. Bol Veer. Proportion of what, beta? अरे आगरा. हाँ बेटा. I just want you guys to think about it, guys. मेरे को भी आता आंसर, जरा एक सेकेंड. ऐसे मैं भी करके बैठू क्या? मैं बोलता बोल के पहले. Yes, guys. हाँ एकांश, you are answering something. Why material cost? बेटा स्क्रैप, गाइस, इज नॉट स्टार्टिंग माई मटेरियल बर्बाद कर दिए. स्क्रैप इज आउट ऑफ द मैन्युफैक्चरिंग प्रोसेस. गाइस वो बोल रहा है मटेरियल बर्बाद हो गया स्टार्टिंग में, बोल के. मटेरियल स्टार्टिंग में बर्बाद नहीं हुआ है बेटा. अगर मटेरियल स्टार्टिंग में ही बर्बाद हो गया, इट विल नॉट इवन कम इन प्रोसेस अकाउंट. प्रोसेस अकाउंट में आ रहा है मतलब यू आर इंट्रोड्यूसिंग द मटेरियल, गाइस. यू स्टार्टेड वर्किंग ऑन दोस मटेरियल्स एज सच, गाइस. राह के एंड तक सब नहीं आए साथ में, थोड़े बीच में ही रास्ता छोड़ दिए. Are you getting it, guys? Huh? Normal loss. मिल गया स्क्रैप, 500 यूनिट स्क्रैप है, चलते चलते 500 खराब हो गया, उसको कंप्लीट करके बेचेंगे बोल के जरूरत नहीं है, बेच देंगे. See guys, when you know something is loss, you've identified it as loss as such, but we will complete them fully first, though it is scrap, and then we will sell them. Nahi beta. Manan, you were answering something. You don't want to answer now, no? अरे बोल बोल. तू क्या सोच रहा था? वंश. कंप्लीटेड वो तो बोल रहा था रॉ मटेरियल बर्बाद करेंगे, तू बोल रहा कंप्लीटेड यूनिट बर्बाद करेंगे. यस गाइस. आयुष. -5,000 बाय. देख बेटा, थोड़ा बहुत मैथ मेरे को भी आता है. There is no way that you create equations like this. तू बाहर आ. Guys, 5,000 by 9,000 क्या है वे? When they give scrap as a percentage of input, guys, it is the current month input that you're introducing. Work in progress एक बार वो बनना शुरू हो गया, that means as such better नहीं आएगा. In the ratio of 3 lakhs and 2 lakhs. 9,500 and 9,300. Anything else, guys? Sidesh. 2 lakhs is also been incurred, but that 2 lakhs is incurred totally. बाकी का जो आएगा वो फ्यूचर में आएगा ना. हाँ. That's 3 lakhs and 2 lakhs. You do not have to show off your math skills and say 60% and 40% बोल के. You can simply say it's in the ratio of 3 lakhs and 2 lakhs. बेटा सीधा बात करो ना यार, क्यों कॉम्प्लिकेट कर रहे हो जिंदगी? हाँ. डिवाइड बाय 10,000. वो क्या ना बेटा, मेरा वैल्यूएशन ऑफ इन्वेंट्री ना अकाउंट मैच नहीं होगा, ऐसा कर दिया था मैं. वो हमारी प्रॉब्लम नहीं है ना. आप देख लो सर आपका वो अकाउंट कैसे मैच कर रहे हो आप. गाइस, इफ यू सिंपली राइट 5,000 डिवाइडेड बाय 10,000 यूनिट्स, गाइस, योर अकाउंट इज नेवर गोइंग टू मैच. समझ में आ रहा है बेटा? तेरे को तो मालूम ही है ना मैच नहीं होना बोल के. रीत, आधे लोग को समझ में भी नहीं आया बेटा. बट एनीवेज, 5:2. From where did we get this 5:3 बेटा? ఎట్లా వస్తుంది రా 100% 60%? అట్లా తీసుకోలే రే గాడదా. అది వర్క్ ఇన్ ప్రోగ్రెస్, డిగ్రీ ఆఫ్ కంప్లీషన్ ఏదో నంబర్స్ ఉంటే యూజ్ చేసేస్తావా? 500 और 200 के रेशियो में. सेकेंड वाले में 200 थोड़ी लॉस हुआ बेटा, वो अभी बनने वाले, अगले महीने बाकी का 200 बन जाते वो. वी हैव इंकर्ड 60% एक्सपेंडिचर येट, वी आर गोइंग टू इंकर द रिमेनिंग. एंड में 5,000 निकाल देते. वेरी गुड आइडिया गाइस. ही सेज एंड में -5 करेंगे. सब लोग तालियां मार सकते हैं बेटा. हाँ. फ्रॉम वेयर? दैट्स द क्वेश्चन नो बेटा. -5 करेंगे, कहां से करेंगे? टोटल अमाउंट ऑफ व्हाट? विच अकाउंट? फिनिश गुड्स अकाउंट, ये वो क्या मतलब? See, I will write multiple things, guys, on this. Yes or no? If I do not consider 5,000 and value inventories as such, guys, and then I write 5,000 here, this credit side will be 5,000 more than the debit side. And then you like overcasting of the credit side, बोल के. Weighted average of units. ले सकते हैं, पूछ रहा है या बोल रहा है बेटा? नहीं ले सकते हैं. तो जो बाकी के 9,000 यूनिट्स बन गए ना, वो भी एक टाइम पे वर्क इन प्रोग्रेस ही थे. गाइस, दोस 9,000 यूनिट्स वेर नॉट कंप्लीटेड गाइस. ऐसे एवरीथिंग इज अ वर्क इन प्रोसेस एज सच बेटा. एट अ लेटर स्टेज इट बिकम्स अ फिनिश्ड प्रोडक्ट. यस बेटा आयुष. From where are we getting this 450? All right, guys. No. 3 lakhs minus why? जल्दी बोल. क्यों? क्या देखा क्या आंसर अभी? बोल क्यों? नहीं नहीं, वो रीजन ही नहीं है बेटा. वो स्टार्टिंग में ही आंसर दे दिया था एकांश में, उसको बोला पागल है क्या तू बोल के. तेरे को भी बोलू सेम. हटा सकते 5 lakhs में से. करेक्ट बेटा. Guys, why are you not understanding that 5 lakhs is being written separately here? 3 lakhs and 2 lakhs. All right, guys, do you want me to answer now? Huh? Excellent answer, guys. You deduct only from material because you never get scrap for labor. Scrap is only for the material content. That does not mean material starting में बर्बाद हो रहा. Answer वो था, explanation wrong था बेटा. That was not the explanation, guys. When you sell something as scrap, the value that you receive is not for the craftsmanship or the labor work that was performed on it, guys. You get value only for the material content. They said we will deduct 5,000 because material will get destroyed and after that you will start working on the product. वही नहीं दिए थे. Are we clear about this? Whenever you sell, this is the same explanation that I keep saying better, that the difference between scrap value and residual value. जब भी property, plant and equipment पढ़ते हैं, I said let's not use the word scrap value everywhere, guys. You use the word scrap value when the machine cannot be used by anyone. It has to be scrapped. When you say it has to be scrapped as such, guys, you will recycle that material and realize something out of it. Residual value matlab, it can either be scrap or it can also be better sale of machinery to someone else who's going to use that machinery as a machine. You're using a two-wheeler for 5 years and after 5 years you sell it. It is not scrap value. समझ में आ रहा है बेटा? You use it for 5 years as such, guys, and then you sell it, then it is scrap value. But anyways, guys, the logic behind deducting scrap value of normal loss only from material content is that the scrap that we realize, guys, is only for the material content. That is why we'll deduct that entire 5,000 rupees from 3 lakhs to compute your effective cost per unit. Are we clear? So what are we learning better here first? Whenever there's work in progress, the cost per unit of a completed unit and a partly completed unit will not be same. That is why, guys, you will have to convert work in progress units into equivalent number of completed units. All right. Then usually materials are introduced at the beginning of the production process, meaning your material as such, guys, will have a 100% degree of completion for work in progress also. Labor and overheads will not have a 100% degree of completion. Next, that is how we compute cost per unit separately for material, separately for labor and overheads. If at all there is normal loss as such, guys, and normal loss is a scrap value, any scrap that you realize as such, guys, is usually only towards the material content. That is why the entire scrap value of normal loss is adjusted from the material content for computation of effective cost per unit. Are we clear about this? Yes or no? The next step here, beta, will be abnormal loss or abnormal gain. Abnormal loss mein beta, they will give degree of completion. Matlab, if there's a loss identified during the production process, you'll not fully complete it. You will simply scrap it at that stage only. So like how you value work in progress, you will also have to value abnormal loss. Just say they give you that 200 units for abnormal loss, degree of completion, material 100%, labor and overhead 70%. Did you not convert closing work in progress into equivalent units? Like that, we will also convert abnormal loss into equivalent number of completed units. वो हो गया बेटा, सब समझ में आ जाता. We are done with one part. After that, the only thing that will be left is opening work in progress. If there is opening work in progress, then the method of inventory valuation will come into picture, which is FIFO method or weighted average method. Are we all clear about this?